Hello everyone, I'm just recording another layers walkthrough. I recorded one for the other Doctor Strange image I did a couple months ago, and people seemed to like it, so I decided to do another one for this image, this time with my face on camera. So we'll see how that goes. Um, So this is the finished image here that I'm gonna show you kind of how I did today. So this is the original image, um, and this has already undergone some amount of editing in Camera Raw. I adjusted kind of the contrast and the brightness. Enhance the blacks a little bit. So this has already been edited. This is not straight from the camera at this juncture. But I thought this image could be fun to play with and do some effects editing to, in part because I wanted to learn a little bit about how to do background replacement, and which I thought would be especially great for this image because this parking garage is not super great looking. um, so I decided I wanted to do a full background replacement rather than just doing the special effects of the glow of the Eye of Agamotto. I did some looking around, tried out a couple different backgrounds, and really liked the idea of the big window from the Sanctum Sanctorum. I think that's what it's called. Um, so I ended up finding this image here, which is from an early teaser poster, and I thought, that's great. It's got a really nice sort of front straight-on view of that window, and the other stuff in the original image is pretty easily covered up by the cosplayer. So I decided to pull this image and work with it. So the first layer on top of that is a cutout of my cosplayer using a clipping mask to pull them out of the background there. And then I've got a curves adjustment layer here. This wasn't this wasn't the next thing I did after cutting out the figure. Something I added later after I'd done a lot of my other adjustments, and I felt like it could be punched up a little bit, like I needed the lights a little brighter, the darks a little darker. So I added this in. But it's next on my layer list, so you're seeing it now, even though in my actual process it came a little bit later. Then I had these two layers to create the glow, to really make this figure feel like it's in that background. You want the light spill from the window to kind of create a glow around the figure. And I did an effect kind of like this in the Doctor Strange portal image that I did a few months ago. But I decided to try a different technique with this one because I've been binging the Glyn Dewis. Pretty sure that's how you say his name. Glyn Dewis's tutorials on YouTube, and they're super amazing. I'm going to put a link to them in the description because I highly recommend you check them out. It's got lots of great stuff. So I'm not going to show you the technique here because his video is better, but it essentially uses the layer style inner glow. Well, cancel. So it uses that and then creates a new layer from it. So I've got one I did in white using screen blend mode, and then one kind of to give it the golden color use in color dodge. And then I had these layer masks, layer masks to make it really focused, because without it you can see it's around here at the bottom and everywhere that I didn't necessarily want it to be. So using that to really focus it around the head and shoulders. And with this layer, I bring it down a little bit further, spilling onto the edges of the cloak a little bit more. And also with this one, I pull it into the hair a little bit more to really give sort of that golden reflection upon the hair. And so I was pretty happy with how that looked. And then but the coloration and saturation on the figure doesn't really match this rose window background. So I used the color lookup tables, which you can find here under the adjustments. And I just picked a couple that I thought worked together. I tried a bunch of different ones until I found sort of a combo that I thought worked well together. And so you can see this one's only even at 27% opacity. So it wasn't even I just pulled two and called it a day. I did some tweaking with how much I wanted each one to show. And so I picked two. It doesn't really say which ones they are, so I can't tell you off the top of my head. But I encourage you to start mucking about with this tool if you, like me, didn't realize it was even there or knew what it was. It's pretty snazzy. So I was pretty happy with this, and so I feel like now my figure looks put like in that environment. Looks like they belong together. So now to move on to doing the light from the Infinity Stone. So to do that, have a bunch of stuff in this layer here. I'm going to skip this layer for now because I actually came back and did that later. So I started off with this color dodge layer. Color dodge is another thing I learned from watching the Glyn Dewis tutorials. It's not a thing I really understood or knew about before, and it's super fancy. So to start to give me kind of the green edge to the environment immediately surrounding where this stone would be. And then another one that's focused even more. And then I was playing around with this and I looked at some reference photos and it seemed like the darks in the eye were a little punched up, so I did this soft light layer to really kind of bring the blacks in a little more. So then I wanted the actual lens flare effect, so I this is using the actual lens flare filter that comes with Photoshop and doing some stuff with it that also came from a tutorial with a hue and saturation adjustment layer on it. But I was playing around with this and I wasn't fully happy with it. Like, it didn't quite look the way I wanted it to look. So I found a lens flare stock photo and stuck that in on screen blend mode using this layer mask to kind of tighten it in. If I disable it, you can see it was originally extended much farther. So use that to kind of bring it in a little bit. And then another targeted hue and saturation adjustment layer on top of that to give it the appropriate green color. So I was pretty happy with this, but I really wanted to give it a little bit more drama when it came to the light coming from the Infinity Stone. So I did another color dodge layer and then used the layer mask to really carefully just paint in where I wanted the light from the Infinity Stone to hit, to really amp it up. You can see if I disable this layer mask, you can see it looks like that. So I really did a lot of meticulous kind of painting with a low opacity brush in this layer mask to really target those spots where I wanted the color to come in. And that is the finished image. So I hope you found that interesting or entertaining, or I don't know. Thanks for sticking with it if you found it neither of those things. I will like I said, post a link to the Glyn Dewis tutorials in the description because I would not have been able to do this image without them, and I highly recommend them. They're super awesome. Let me know if you like these videos when I do them. I can keep doing more as I do more advanced Photoshop projects, or if you'd like me to do something different with them, or if you just prefer to just see the images and not anything about the process. I value your feedback. So thanks for watching.